What's up, party people, and welcome back to the J&JJ podcast, or the Jedi and the Jar Jar. I'm the Jedi.
And I'm the Jar Jar.
And today we got so much to talk about with Project Luminous.
Luminous?
Which you probably know very little about, correct?
I know that there is a thing called Project Luminous, and that we are either going to understand more about it in the future or understand more about it currently, since I'm bad at keeping up with news.
We know a whole lot more about it right now.
We learned so much recently, and I do not know, apparently.
Yes, we learned so much. They had a huge event revolving around Project Luminous.
Yes.
Basically, the massive announcement. I'm surprised that you didn't see this even just on normal social media stuff.
I was on a road trip.
You were on this was like 2 days ago.
I was on the tail end mentally of a road trip and didn't see the news.
Anyway, I kept up with it. I made a video about it, obviously. So basically, Project Luminous was this big thing that everybody was hinting at in the story group and for various authors of Lucasfilm and Disney. And they announced a brand new era that's going to be explored in Star Wars with this sort of multimedia project. It's a whole bunch of different books that they're going to be developing in tandem with one another, as well as comic books. It's separate stories set in this one big era. Okay. And to get the full picture of this era, you would have to consume all of the supplementary material. So it's like we're getting a children's book, then we're getting 2 official novels, then we're getting 2 comic books, and we're just branching out from there. Basically what it is right now is just for authors. It's for reading and material like that, because a lot of the authors at Lucasfilm and people that had been commissioned to make these Star Wars novels very much felt like that the novels were in service of the films of Star Wars, and that they were kind of throwaway material. When in the past with Star Wars, it hasn't always been that way. It's been sort of like the material, it gets built off of the novels. Or at least that's what it was like in the old age of Lucasfilm after the release of the original trilogy and even the prequels. It felt very much like all the novels were the main things that you were going to be consuming for Star Wars, and that video games and other stuff built from there. And now it's sort of flip-flopped once Disney acquired Star Wars. Anyway, so they wanted to bring this back, and in this new era, it's the High Republic era, obviously, which is, the rumors are confirmed now, except it's 200 years before the events of the Phantom Menace, and it's not like 400 years like previously.
So it's a lot sooner.
It's a whole lot sooner, yeah. So I believe it's 7 projects in total, 2 comic books, and then I believe the rest are novels, ranging from young adult novels to like full-fledged novels written by people that have done a lot of the Star Wars work before from comic books and stuff. Actually, one of my favorite authors over at Lucasfilm, who's responsible for the Darth Vader comic book and the Kylo Ren comic book, which I think right now are my two favorite things, he's actually getting a full-fledged novel. And this will sort of flesh out this High Republic era. There's some interesting stuff along with this.
Yeah.
They said that for the time being, it is just their plan to flesh out in the books, and it doesn't necessarily correlate with films and TV, which I think is probably true. But I'm almost positive that since they're announcing this, that we're going to get High Republic movies. Yeah. I think that just makes complete sense. Other than that, there's just information, tons of information about the High Republic stuff. They revealed that the Jedi are sort of in their prime. They're no longer like these monks that we know them as in the Clone Wars and the original trilogy. They're now like Knights of the Round Table. Like they're straight up warriors. And someone even described one of them as like a Texas Ranger Jedi. And they released all this concept art. One of my favorite pieces of concept art, actually, and unfortunately we can't show it because this is a podcast, it's not like a full video.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was this piece of concept art of a Jedi when they were talking about this Texas Ranger idea. And he had his lightsaber that was originally a gun, and that he sort of converted it to a cross-guarded lightsaber.
That's cool.
It was super cool.
Is there any way you could show that to me?
Yeah, I can pull it up. And then there's other concept art of like way more lightsaber colors. There's like far more yellow lightsaber colors, which goes along with my theory that the yellow lightsaber stemmed from an era in Star Wars that was much older. So that pretty much confirmed it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I need to make a full video on that. But Yeah, I do have a few concerns with it that I wanted to bring up here that I may make my own. Feel free just to scroll through.
Yeah, for sure.
That I wanted to make my own video on it. But basically, at one point during it, they had 3 different sections of Star Wars. They had like what Star Wars was known for, and then basically what they wanted to push Star Wars and wish lists for what they wanted for Star Wars. And they had a few things in this list that sound absolutely amazing, and then 1 or 2 that I'm just like, what? Anyway, but let's first off start off with one of the major critiques that people have. In the list of Star Wars, the first thing that they like about Star Wars was diversity, and then also at the end of it, the thing that they wanted more from Star Wars was more diversity. Yeah. And a lot of people are up in arms against that, and honestly, I don't care. I don't think that matters at all. As far as like, I think it's good for these stories to be diverse as long as the first step is to tell an interesting character, and whether or not what gender they are or the color of their skin doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's like counterproductive. Just tell your story.
But I'm fine with a diverse like plethora of characters. Yeah, obviously
everybody is. It's just like it's frustrating when things just feel agenda driven. But like, yeah, just tell your story. Tell a good story.
It is a little bit agenda driven, but this is Lucasfilm. We expect it from them at this point in time. There was other stuff in the wish list of Star Wars, like dinosaurs. They wanted dinosaurs in Star Wars. They wanted to explore that topic.
I love that idea.
Do you for real?
No, I don't. I mean, like, there's a lot of fun creatures in Star Wars. There always has been. And, I mean, I don't know how on Earth that could be a good thing or a bad thing. It's like just have a planet where there's more dinosaur-looking like creatures. It's fine. I don't think that's a big deal. You know, there's a giant worm monster in a moon or something in Empire. It's just a thing. There's weird creatures in Star Wars.
Right, absolutely.
As long as the dinosaurs don't have lightsabers, I'm good.
Yeah, that makes sense. As far as other wish list stuff, they wanted to explore more orders of the Force besides the Jedi and Sith, which is an idea that I love. Not something that's really been explored in the new canon a whole lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you got like the Knights of Ren a little bit, but that's about it. These orders that don't fall under the mantra of a Jedi or a Sith, and at the same time are like, maybe they worship a different version of the Force, or they use a different aspect of the Force, which I think is really cool. Another wish list was like, what is the Sith Empire up to at this point? Which I think is a really interesting concept, like, because we know the Sith are currently in hiding. We know the Rule of Two has been established at this point in time, and now the Sith are in hiding. The Sith have been in hiding for a few hundred years, actually, and there's not really hint at it so far in what they confirmed about the first era or the first wave of this High Republic stuff. And they also did make it clear that this is very much the first wave of all the High Republic information. Do you have any first thoughts, initial thoughts?
Yeah, I really just like the idea that they're striving to have this homogenous like story almost through all these different forms of like entertainment mediums that they have with video games, novels, and stuff like that. Kind of like not so much telling you one giant story, but painting this picture of what they're trying to make Star Wars look like right now. I think that's a really fun idea. And I love the idea of them just kind of... I love Star Wars, how it's so visually... like, there's so much contrast in it. You could tell so many different stories, and you could have them take place in all these different worlds. And I love the idea of a shift, because what we've gotten lately is very repetitive in a way that I think is both productive and counterproductive, where it's like they're giving fans something that they like and something they've wanted for a long time, but at the same time you're giving them a lot of the same. So I think this effort that they're making to bring you kind of this new looking Star Wars with this new kind of idea of how the Jedi operate and things like that, where you said like the Knights of the Round Table kind of vibe. They're warriors, they're not so much monks, and tell you this story in a very different period of Star Wars, not something that's just like 30 years in the past or 30 years in the future. I think is a really fun idea, and I can't wait to see what they come up with. You know, I think it'll be fun to see the the younger Yoda be more like a warrior.
There is concept art of a younger Yoda in the background, actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. But that's something that I'm really excited about to see in the Old Republic era, or this High Republic era.
Republic, yeah.
So one of my major concerns, I'm just going to bring this up,
okay,
is the main villain of this High Republic era is known as the Nile.
The Nile.
The Nile, and they've been described as these space Vikings and pillagers. And it was also revealed that they use hyperspace in a way that's different and dangerous. And that's
like it's a new invention or something like that.
That's all that was said. It's just they use it in a new dangerous way.
I think it would be cool if it was like, because is there anything in Star Wars where they tell you when hyperspeed
or lightspeed
like came around?
I'm sure there is, but I'm not familiar with it.
Because I think it'd be fun to explore that.
Like, I know they said in the High Republic era, a lot of these lightspeed maps and the lightspeed roads, basically, that have been developed and like coordinates have not yet been.
Yeah.
So it's in this sort of unexplored era and time of Star Wars where it's like the core world of Coruscant and the Jedi Temple is there, but beyond that, the Jedi's reach is kind of like they're Texas Rangers. You know, they're out there in the Wild West trying to covet power and control in the galaxy.
That's fun. It reminds me too, and this is a little bit off topic, but when you talk about like this Texas Ranger idea, it reminds me of that Old Republic cinematic with the cowboy.
He's like a bounty hunter.
Yeah, he's like a bounty hunter.
He's a smuggler.
He's a smuggler, and he looks like he's got like a cowboy hat on, and he's very Han Solo-esque, and like he's captured, and they're like bringing him to some place, and then like they get attacked by a bunch of droids, and he shoots them down. That like I love the idea of Star Wars having like so much like diversity as far as like characters could go,
and like a Western setting, like a Western Jedi.
Yeah.
Sounds so awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool. So it's like to have that idea in it, I think is fun. But also like as far as exploring like those little details in Star Wars, I think it would be fun to kind of mess around with like the unexplored details of lightspeed, because that's something that I feel like is very loosely and almost carelessly explored in Star Wars a lot. Like in The Rise of Skywalker when Poe is like doing the lightspeed skipping, or when Holdo does like the light speed into the
jump.
Yeah, into the
half jump.
The First Order ships. It's like it's kind of something that is so incredibly powerful in the, I guess, continuity of these stories being told, like the ability to do that. Like it would be absolutely, and it would be crucial to like a lot of plans that people would have to either, you know, travel somewhere or fight a different thing. So it's like exploring the idea of that in its inception, I think would be a lot of fun.
Yes, along with that, it's sort of like the whole thing where it's the Vikings versus the Knights, instead of like if the Sith were these Dark Knights, not like Batman.
Yeah, not like Batman.
It's sort of like this light and the dark. It's Robert Pattinson, yes. It's sort of this new threat, a threat that is unlike the Sith and unlike anything we've seen before. And they have like these gas masks that they wear that are supposed to like put them apart. They're basically, you know, the gang in Solo, it would almost be like that if they actually were villains. And let me tell you this, I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I think it's so boring.
Yeah.
I think that really truly is so boring. You have this amazing thing in Star Wars that I feel like a lot of times they just want to neglect, and that's the Force. Like, I'm sorry, but that is the most interesting part to me of Star Wars by a landslide.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, it's what kind of binds all of the stories of Star Wars together.
And I realize it's like we're going to get this whole, like, the Sith are in the background pulling the strings, and, like, they may be behind the Nile, and we may get this new threat. But, like, man, I just want a Force-based order that comes against the Jedi. They don't even have to be the Sith.
Yeah.
They could be like this gray Jedi organization that the Jedi have to deal with. And with that said, this may be where they're leading this. Again, this is very much a phase 1 thing. Obviously, you don't bring in Thanos to fight Iron Man in Iron Man 1. You started out with, like, you know, the Ironmonger.
Yes.
Is the Ironmonger anybody's favorite comic book villain? No.
Never been.
Then you bring it, like, you got a Whiplash. Then you got, like, the Mandarin, kind of.
Who was the fire guy?
He's the fire guy.
There was the fire guy with the nice hair.
Yeah.
And then Thanos.
But so I understand that. So take this all with the idea of, this stuff could be planned for later down the line. I just feel like it would be so much more interesting if the Jedi were in this conflict with not this mysterious group of Vikings, but with this mysterious Force-based order. Anyway, and again, I think that that's probably the ultimate idea, but with stuff like Solo, they really neglected the Force, and they underestimated the selling point of how important the Force was, and they kind of did it with Rogue One too until the reshoots and they brought back Darth Vader. The Force and all these characters are the most interesting part, and I feel like really the Mandalorian, besides Baby Yoda, is the only thing that has been able to successfully pull off like not having the Force prominently featured.
Yeah. For sure.
And I understand that it's like we're following the Jedi in this new era, and that the Nihil are very much a beginning. They're the first boss, and there's something over the hill. And I understand that you can't introduce the Sith with dialogue from the Phantom Menace that is like the Sith have been gone for so long, but you can have these other mysterious Force-based orders.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's incredibly crucial for a Star Wars story to have something with the Force in it. And even
I'm not even talking about like we're getting the Jedi. I'm talking like the dark side.
Yeah, I know. But like when it comes to like the Mandalorian being a success, there is a lot of questions that they ask in the Mandalorian about the Baby Yoda character and the Force and what exactly the Empire's or the remnants of the Empire's like plans are with it. Where there is some sort of looming threat involving the Force. And to not have that is kind of a mistake, I think. Where, like you said in Solo, not a lot of people were clamoring for a Han Solo movie, partly because there's not a whole lot of interesting questions that anybody had about it. And that's because it's a story about a guy, and there was no looming threat involving the Force or the Empire or any sort of really compelling villain and any lore to really connect any of it to, where that's what you're going to need for this next trilogy or whatever it is going to be with these High Republic movies, because you need something to build off of, and you need it to be interesting, just like the prequels were. Part of the reason why the prequels are as successful as they are now, culturally, is because the prequels gave a lot. There was a lot of world building. There was a lot of lore that like it exposed people to, and that's what people want now. So they definitely do need some sort of dark side threat or something involving the Force.
And again, some of the stuff that they were talking about is like wishes for Star Wars is like, what is the Sith Empire up to? Yeah. And other Force-based orders besides the Jedi and the Sith. And I think that that's where it should go next. I think that because of dialogue surrounding what the Sith are up to, I think you should have hints at the Sith, but the main antagonist should be a different kind of Force wielder.
Yeah.
I think that sounds so compelling.
For sure.
And I like where they're taking the Jedi. I do want to take this second to praise this, because I honestly do think that the people behind Project Luminous right now are some of the most creative people in Star Wars. Like I said, they've made some of the best books and comic books, which have been really great no matter what anybody says about anything else. This stuff has been great, which is awesome. I think it's in good hands. I'm just worried that they're going to focus so much on this group, the Nihil, that to me, we don't know a lot, but they sound super underwhelming. And I understand the idea of like, sometimes it's okay to have a villain that's not Force-based. Like you have Thrawn, who's an excellent example of that. Not a Force-based villain, absolutely a great Star Wars villain. But I think if you're going to flesh out an entire era of Star Wars, the threat of the dark side of the Force in these different groups needs to be a part of it. And I'm not saying it's not a part of it.
Yeah.
I'm saying it wasn't a part of this key pitch. The key pitch was very much like, these are knights, they're not monks, they're warriors, and apparently there's this huge, in the first novel, Light of the Jedi, I think is what it's called, there's some galactic-wide catastrophe that sets off this huge like story where heroes will have the opportunity to rise up from within the ranks of the Jedi. We got a Wookiee Jedi on one of the covers. I
saw that.
We have a Jedi that looks mysteriously like Brie Larson. Actually,
oh, do we?
A little bit, yeah. And then we have some other cool stuff too. But I really hope this goes well. And I think it will go well. We learned about a location called the Starlight Station, which is sort of like an off-planet Jedi temple, like its own little space station, which I think is a fun concept. So with this, there's a whole lot that I'm really excited about. We haven't really kicked off a brand new era of Star Wars ever that I'm aware of, besides like the Old Republic video games and stuff. It's always, Star Wars is always sort of built upon itself, and now it's not. This is the first like major time gap that we're seeing in the Disney era. Besides, because you know, when you reboot Star Wars a little bit and you have something like The Force Awakens, obviously you have a threat that's like, oh, that's the Empire.
Yeah.
And then you have...
It all very much looks
You have Han Solo, you have Chewbacca. So it'll be interesting to go to an era where the only character that we know is Yoda. And even then, Yoda's like this giant mystery and this giant question mark because we don't know what Yoda is like 200 years before The Phantom Menace. We don't know if Yoda's Grand Master.
Probably not. I think it would be a mistake to make him Grand Master in this story. Just because if you're going to explore a different Yoda, you might as well make him different.
I want this Yoda to be insanely powerful.
That would be so cool.
Because you always hear about how powerful Yoda is, and you do see it to some extent.
Yeah.
But this is Yoda in his prime. He's not an old man.
Look at how powerful Baby Yoda is, and he's a baby.
Yeah.
You know?
This is Yoda in his prime.
And there's no way that this Baby Yoda character is going to be as powerful as Yoda.
Right.
It wouldn't make any sense to have it be like that. So a prime age Yoda with a lightsaber going into these warrior duels.
I
with
want him to
whoever
have
it is.
2 lightsabers.
That'd be so cool. Just the idea of that. That'd be so fun. And you know what? I don't want him to have a green lightsaber.
You think it'd be awesome if they were a different color?
I think it'd be so awesome.
Like if they were like
I get
purple.
it, like Yoda's green, therefore he has to have a green lightsaber, but please change that.
I'd be fine if he had a green lightsaber.
Everybody on Earth would be fine if he had a green lightsaber, but like give him a purple or a yellow or a blue or anything.
Ooh, a young Yoda with 2 yellow lightsabers.
It'd be so cool. I would love that so much.
Talk about selling toys. Oh my gosh.
I know, for real. And they will do that. Of course they'll do that. You can't just give him the same lightsaber. Like, give him... He hasn't had that lightsaber for 200 years.
Yeah.
There's no way. It would get damaged. It'd stop working. The battery would die. I don't know how lightsabers work. But I think that would be so much fun to give him a new design like that.
So, with that said, do you have any personal wish lists for this High Republic era?
No, not like anything that we don't already know. I'm just excited at the idea of this. I'm excited that they're kind of overhauling it and giving us this new era that's far enough away where everything could look different and all the characters could behave differently in a way that like is consistent with its universe in that era. I wish that we do get some interesting dark side stuff or something similar to that, and I think it'd just be fun to see these warrior Jedi. I think that
like an Old West Jedi.
Old West Jedi.
I'm more excited for an Old West Jedi
sitting in a round room and talking in a very low monotone voice. You know, I want Jedis to just be like yelling at each other at the battlefield, like, go and hit him with your lightsaber, bucko.
With this, I also talked a little bit about lightsaber colors, but there's also a whole lot more purple and a whole lot more yellow.
Yeah, go for it. Make it different.
Yeah.
You know?
Make it as different as you want, my guy.
Yeah, make it fun. Make it not what we've gotten lately. Just have a bunch of Jedi with a bunch of different color lightsabers and explore the meanings of them. Explore what the Jedi's unique quirks are and say like, oh, you know why he's got a yellow lightsaber there? Sport, because I'm a cowboy. Buckaroo. I don't know how cowboys talk. He killed 1 million men in the wars of 1480 BBY. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not pitching Star Wars movies right now. But like, I think
you think a Jedi should get a lightsaber color once they kill 1 million people? That sounds a whole lot like a Jedi to me.
It's a joke.
In the year of 1917 BBY.
Joke. Is that what year it would be? 1970 BBY?
No. No, it wouldn't.
I don't know.
BBY is after the Battle of Yavin.
Isn't it before the battle with the BB?
Crap, you're right.
Yeah, I am right.
Dang.
It would be what?
ABY.
230 BBY, something like that?
Something like 230 BBY.
Yeah, 230 BBY.
220
Around
BBY.
there.
220 BBY.
I can't believe I know any of that. That's amazing.
You should feel so proud.
I am proud. I hope you're proud.
I am proud.
Are you proud?
I mean,
well, guess what? Pride is a sin there, Cam.
I really hope that this new Star Wars is good because that means more longevity for my channel. And I think it will be. I think that starting off with the books and novels is good.
Yeah.
It kind of scares me that they're like, this is very much a books and like a comic books and novels thing, and that they haven't come out and straight up said, hey, this is going to be the next phase of the movies, which I think it will be still. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts?
I think that there's probably a big fear at Disney that is showing off in a very positive way with this like creatively bankrupt era of Star Wars, and everybody screaming, we gotta fix that. Mm-hmm. So when you get projects like The Mandalorian, when you bring back the Clone Wars and give the fans something that they actually want, I think that it's showing a real initiative. The whole idea of this High Republic era, it's showing a real initiative of them saying, we're fixing this. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to give you another Han Solo movie. I don't think we're going to get the Cassian Andor like TV series.
You don't?
I don't think we're going to get it because I think they're going to realize how little people want that. And it's not like they haven't canceled projects before. So like I feel that there is this strong initiative.
Who knows though, if the Cassian Andor series has a good story to tell, it could knock people away.
If you got a great story to tell a great story, but is that what we have? I don't think that we do. I really don't. I think they're trying to branch off into like new different like brands, like the Cassian Andor brand, and I think they're going to realize there's nothing there. And that's obviously not how you should make these franchises. You shouldn't go, let's make whatever we can out of this nothing character just so we could have another franchise. I don't think that'll work.
I still got faith because the Cassian Andor series hasn't had any hangups so far. And I mean, the Mandalorian was such a success.
Yeah,
and nobody expected it to be a success. Mm-hmm. Or I feel like people genuinely weren't super interested in it, and then they watched it.
I disagree. I don't think people
You think people were?
I think more people. I think people were interested.
For real?
Yeah. I mean, it's a fun idea. Mandalorians are something that are just inherently interesting, and it's got a great design where like everybody could just look at the Mandalorian and be like, yeah, of course I want to watch a show with that cool character in it. And
you really think the success was that big? I mean, the anticipation and all that was that big?
I think that the reaction was bigger than the anticipation, but there was definitely anticipation. And there was anticipation for a lot of reasons too. It was the launch of a new streaming service that a lot of people had a lot of faith in and were excited for.
I think that The Mandalorian was going to be successful, but until that end of that first episode
with the Baby Yoda
with
character.
Baby Yoda, and not only that, but like how awesome that whole first episode really is.
It was. It's a really good episode. But I do think that there was more anticipation for that because it's a cool idea with something that we haven't seen before, but it's something that is still Star Wars and still pretty familiar, where I feel like there's no interest in a Cassian Andor. I don't think anybody knows the name of Cassian Andor. I don't think anybody that saw Rogue One gushes over how great of a character he was. It's all Darth Vader, Death Star. Do you remember how Tarkin was a CGI monster? Like, it's not something I think anybody's interested in. And if they have a great story to tell a great story. I have zero problem with that. I just don't find it to be a good idea.
We'll see.
But, I mean, I think Star Wars is moving in the right direction. I think they have a lot of great new ideas moving forward, and I'm excited for it. And I'm excited to see what decisions they decide to stick with and what they go forward. And if they have the faith to put that out there and they really trust in that idea that they have, more power to them.
So what did you think of The Bad Batch? Kind of switching topics real quick.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was fun.
You loved it?
I thought it was fun. I liked, what was it? There was Hunter, and there was Big Boy, and there was Sharpshot.
Wrecker.
And Four Eyes, right? Like, it's a fun group of characters. I love Star Wars when they do like it was almost like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
but like Clone Troopers.
But Clone Troopers. It was fun. I really liked it. It wasn't the most like intense episode with Sith and Jedi or anything. There was none of that in it. Anakin Skywalker was in the beginning of the episode. They made him look a little more evil. He had an evil look in his eyes at one point.
Did he? I didn't really notice that. That's awesome.
He's I mean, the episode was fun. I like the Bad Batch as a group of characters. I liked when, what's his name, Wrecker?
Yeah.
The guy with the killer instincts, and he could like sense
Hunter.
Okay, Hunter, and then Wrecker's the big one.
Yeah.
When they were talking about Hunter is like able to like just tell where the droids are because he has like an instinct and he can feel like the radio signals in the air or whatever it was. Like,
right.
I like the lore behind them. I like how they're a bunch of weird misfits with like mutations
and insane power.
Yeah.
When the episode started, I thought that like a clone like Wrecker was just going to be like a little stronger and bigger. No, and then he freaking picked up the gunship.
Yeah, it was amazing.
He like flipped the gunship, and I was like, wow, this is like freaking X-Men, man.
And I know that we got that clip where they charge into the droids like a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it's an exciting scene.
They take out so many droids.
I love how it's like, Rex was like, all right, here's the plan. And they're like, that's not the plan. We're just going to kill them all right now. We're just going to charge in and just do what we do. Because this is how the Bad Batch does it.
I love Rex so much as a character.
Rex is fun.
He's my favorite clone trooper by far.
Yeah, and he debatably made it all the way into Return of the Jedi.
Confirmed.
He
did.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember talking about that with you a very long time ago.
Yep.
You
just freaking kick me under the table.
I'm sorry, playing footsies over here, but I liked the episode. I'm excited to get into the next episode and hopefully get more of the. I want to get a bunch of the Darth Maul Ahsoka stuff. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
That's going to be way down the line. I'm
sure
sorry,
it will
bro.
be, but like
they're going to start like this doesn't end till May.
Till May?
Yeah.
Holy crap. How many episodes are in this season?
A ton.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be one episode until May.
That's so crazy.
And then you got June, July, August, September, October, and then The Mandalorian's back.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
And you got the release of The Rise of Skywalker novelization in March, which no one's going to buy and read except for me, so I can make a million videos on it and talk about like how Palpatine actually comes back because we still don't know. We just have hints, but the novelization will very much explain it.
That'll be fun. I'm glad that there's a lot of Star Wars content coming out this year without there being a movie.
And then we got the High Republic stuff too. We got High Republic books. Star Wars is gone from the big screen, but it's certainly not gone.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is pretty smart, actually.
It's honestly debatable which screen is bigger now, you know?
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, like, monetarily, I'm sure that, like, film is still more profitable, but as far as, like, what the fan base of Star Wars is consuming, I think that this Disney Plus stuff is probably the bigger stuff, you know? I think Season 7 of Clone Wars is going to be far more successful with the fans than The Rise of Skywalker, and I think The Mandalorian is also.
But wider interest, obviously.
Wider interest is obviously, like, the big movies, because anybody could go see it. But as far as, like, hardcore fans, like, what are we more excited about? You know, I mean, we're excited to see Palpatine, we're excited to see Luke, but as far as quality of that stuff goes, I mean, you and I obviously prefer The Mandalorian to The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
You know, we just think it's a better made
thing.
Series of film almost.
And I like The Rise of Skywalker.
The Rise of Skywalker is a good movie. You and I both enjoy that movie, but like I would any day tell you I prefer The Mandalorian.
I'd rather have a sequel to The Rise of Skywalker to The Mandalorian than see what Rey does.
Exactly. It's just more interesting.
Because Rey just steals people's names and ships.
And force lightnings on accident. I have a question for you. This is probably a little off topic, but it's something that I heard, and I'm curious if you have any sort of insight into it. I heard that Bob Iger is no longer the CEO of Disney, and I was wondering if there's going to be any sort of effects on how the Star Wars franchise is run.
I'm sure that there will be, but again, it's like Marvel obviously is run more by Kevin Feige, and then Star Wars is more run by Kathleen Kennedy. So I don't think, as far as that's, because Bob Iger's a hugely busy guy. He runs every aspect of Disney.
Right? He doesn't run Star Wars. He runs Disney.
Yeah, so he the theme parks, everything like that. I think he just signs off on stuff. So I don't think it'll have a huge impact. No. Yeah. What I do hope one day is I hope Kathleen Kennedy is removed, and I hope that she's replaced by Jon Favreau.
Yeah, Jon Favreau is obviously the clear choice of who to take over the ship of Star Wars. He did so good with The Mandalorian. He's such a genuine Star Wars fan.
I feel like Kathleen Kennedy is just holding on for dear life to all the paychecks that she gets for Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I think that she needs to...
She's honestly corrosive to the brand.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who she is, and everybody disagrees with what she's made Star Wars into. And it's not like we're unaware of it, you know? I mean, true fans of the films and like how films are made and all that stuff understand what her plans have been, and
this is not how you do it.
The job she's done. So of course, yeah, get rid of her or leave, please. Step down in a gracious way. We are grateful for what you've done that we've enjoyed. I say now to you, Kathleen Kennedy,
as you watch our podcast,
you may retire. You are graced with the permission of the Jedi and the Jar Jar.
Hey, man, we got a podcast that got 40,000 views.
We did. Who knows who's watching?
And thank you for that, by the way.
Yes, your contributions by your watch time is certainly something that is greatly appreciated by both of us. So, great job. And we're glad that you like it, because you guys seem very supportive, and you like it a lot. And be mean to me. It's funny.
It's not funny. It's really funny, actually. It's okay.
It's so funny.
I have nothing else to say, man.
Yeah? 36 minutes and 30 seconds into it.
Anthony yelled at me earlier today. He told me that he needed these to be longer.
I feel like, you know what? Leave it in the comments, guys. How long do you want these podcasts to be? Because we make these for you. So if you want something a little longer, let us know. If you
want 20 minutes?
20 minutes, you know, it's all up to you. And if you listened this far into the podcast, comment Zabadu and then say the amount of time you want the podcasts to be.
All right. I appreciate you guys. Anthony's just being Anthony. Thank you for being my Jar Jar.
The stupendous wave on very regular occasions will just randomly say Zabadu. That's why I said Zabadu.
Zabadu.
So under all of the stupendous wave's comments, just write, or under his videos, just write Zabadu, and he will understand why.
I appreciate you guys watching. I love you guys. May the Force be with you. Have a good one.